Okay, here we are, lesson 16, methods for selecting a random sample. You will need a calculator and a computer, tablet, or phone, and you're going to need to use a random number generator, which I'll give you in this lesson. Alright, example 1. On your lesson worksheet, take a look at example 1, sampling children's books. Read the description, the table, and the histogram on the next page. In which interval is Black Beauty, or The Cat in the Hat? Well, Black Beauty is in the interval of 55,000 to 60,000 words, while The Cat in the Hat is in the first interval of 0 to 5,000 words. What is the meaning of the first bar in the histogram? The first bar indicates the number of books with a total number of words between 0 and 4,999. Exercises 1 and 2. Go ahead and answer these on your lesson worksheet and then continue the video when you are done. Alright, you should be done with exercises 1 and 2. For number 1, from the table, choose 2 books with which you are familiar and describe their locations in the data distribution shown in the histogram. And this would be a sample response. I read The Mouse and the Motorcycle, and that has 22,416 words. It is below the median number of words and may be below the lower quartile. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets has 84,799 words. It is one of the books with lots of words, but may not be in the top quarter for the total number of words. Notice the descriptive language. Even though what you see on the histogram, you still have to describe it in words, and so it's kind of like stating the obvious. You definitely have to do that. So talking about whether it's in the middle, at the end, if it's one of the larger numbers or smaller numbers, you want to use those descriptive words. Alright, for number 2, put dots on the number line below that you think would represent a random sample of size 10 from the number of words distribution above. So again, you're doing a sample size of 10, so you want to pick 10 books and put dots on the number line to represent that. So a sample distribution might have more values near the maximum and minimum than in the center. And an example of your dot plot would look something like this. Alright, let's take a look at example 2. On your lesson worksheet, take a look at example 2 using random numbers to select a sample. The histogram indicates the differences in the number of words in the collection of 150 books. How many words are typical for a best-selling children's book? Answering this question would involve collecting data, and there would be variability in that data. This makes the question a statistical question. Think about the 150 books used to create the histogram before as a population. How would you go about collecting data to determine the typical number of words for the books in this population? Well, you could say we would add up all of the words in the 150 books and divide by 150. This would be the mean number of words for 150 books. As the data distribution is not symmetrical, we could also find the median of 150 books, as it would be a good description of the typical number of words. Using data for all 150 books is very tedious. Selecting a random sample of the 150 books might be a good way to learn about the number of words in these children's books. So on your lesson worksheet, how would you choose a random sample from a collection of 150 books discussed in this lesson? Well, to choose a random sample, you could number all of the books, put the numbers in a bag, and then draw your sample from the bag. Another way is to use a random number generator, where instead of pulling numbers out of a bag, the generator selects the numbers to use in the sample. The data for the number of words in the 150 best-selling children's books are listed in the chart. Select a random sample of the number of words for 10 books. Here is a random number generator you can use on the computer, tablet, or your smartphone. So you might want to pause the video and either try this on your computer or type it into your web browser on your tablet or smartphone. So let's try a couple so you know how to read the chart. The random number generator picks 78. How many pages does the 78th book in the chart have? Well, that would be 860, because the 78th book would be the 7th row and the 8th column to the left. Last example, how many pages does the 31st book have? It has 80,398. That would be the 3rd row and the 1st column. So circle or highlight the 10 books you choose from your random number generator. On lesson worksheet, exercises 3 through 6, question 3. It says follow your teacher's instructions, which I've already given you, to generate a set of 10 random numbers. Find the total numbers of words corresponding to each book identified by your random numbers and write them down. So go ahead and do that, and then pause the video, and when you're done getting your 10 random numbers and books, go ahead and continue. Alright, so you should have your 10 random numbers and your 10 books. So choose 2 or more different random samples of size 10 from the data and make a dot plot of each of the 3 samples. You are given 1 number line as a guide. You're going to need to make 2 more number lines using the same type of number line. Don't combine all 30 data points on one graph. So when you are done, you should have something that looks like this. So 3 number lines that are the same length, using the same scale, but again, you're not doing one line with 30 points. So go ahead and pause the video and do that, and when you're done, go ahead and continue. Alright, so you should have your 3 sample number lines or dot plots. So for number 5, if your teacher randomly chose 10 books from your summer vacation reading list, would you be likely to get many books with a lot of words? Explain your thinking using statistical terms. Well, a sample response could be, from my samples, it looks like I probably would get at least 1 book that has over 90,000 words, because the maximum in each of the samples approaches or exceeds 90,000 words. The 3 samples vary a lot, probably because the sample size is only 10. The median number of words for the 3 samples were about 86,000, 35,000, and 70,000 respectively, so it seems like at least half of the books would contain about 50,000 words or more. Alright, number 6. If you were to compare your samples with your classmates' samples, do you think your answer to exercise 5 would change? Why or why not? Well, this would be a sample response. The sample size is pretty small, so different samples might be different. I still think that I would have to read some books with a lot of words because of the shape of the population distribution. Alright, exercises 7 through 9. We will develop a statistical study of balance and grade. So for number 7, is the following question a statistical question? Do 6th graders or 7th graders tend to have better balance? Why or why not? Well, this would be a statistical question because it would be answered by collecting data on the balance, and there would be variability in the data collected. It would be important to think about how balance will be measured. So for number 8, Berthio's class decided to measure balance by finding out how long people can stand on one foot. A. How would you rephrase the question above to create a statistical question using definition of balance? Explain your reasoning. Well, this could be a sample response. Can 6th graders balance on 1 foot longer than 7th graders? The data collected to answer this question will have some variability. Could be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 2 minutes 10 seconds, or so on. So it is also a statistical question. Part B. What should the class think about to be consistent in how they collect the data if they actually have people stand on 1 foot and measure the time? Would it make a difference if students stood on their right foot or left foot? How high do they have to hold the foot off the ground? Can they do it barefoot or with shoes on? Would tennis shoes be better than shoes with higher heels? What can we use to measure the time? So there's several different things that you can think about. All right, for part 9. Work with your class to devise a plan to select a random sample of 6th graders and a random sample of 7th graders to measure their balance using Berthio's method. Then write a paragraph describing how you will collect data to determine whether there is a difference in how long 6th graders and 7th graders can stand on one foot. Your plan should answer the following questions. A. What is the population? How will samples be collected from the population? And why is it important that they be random samples? Obviously, you're not going to be working with your class right now, but you are going to be sharing this when you get back to class. So this is your plan at this point in time. So pause the video and come up with your plan and then continue the video when you are done. All right, you should be done with your plan. So let's check your response. Would it make a difference if students, I think we already talked about this, so let's go on. All right. So you're going to answer questions A through D and be prepared to share your plan in the next class. So once you have your plan, go ahead and answer part A through D, and then we are going to talk about this when you come back to class next. All right, let's wrap this up. So consider the following questions. Sally argued that the set 20, 24, 27, 32, 35, 40, 45, 50, 120, and 500 could not possibly be a random sample of 10 numbers from 1 to 500 because the set had too many small numbers. Do you agree or disagree with Sally? Explain your thinking. Well, every possible set of 10 numbers from 1 to 500 would be a possible random sample, so Sally is not correct. Why is it important to choose a random sample when you are collecting data? Well, if you do not have a random sample, your sample may not reflect the population and therefore would not offer accurate information about the population. All right, we'll see you in class.